Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Living in the West, a series of episodes where we look into the lives of the Muslims living in the West, how they should be living there, the importance of the subject in the first place, the permissibility of this group of Muslims. We've also looked into the vision for this group of Muslims, a personal vision and a community-led vision, or the community's role in this vision. In helping me extract some of these principles, I have with me today Sheikh Haytham Al-Haddad from the Muslim Research and Development Foundation from the United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, when we looked at the vision, we looked at a personal level on the individual, his vision, living in the West. We looked at the community level, the vision. And we looked at some of the important factors that the community level have to push for. We looked at education, hijab, the personal level of religious freedom at work, for example. Are there any other important parts that the community needs to push or establish in the West?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa usalli wa usallim ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal mursalin Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Another important dimension that the Muslims have to work towards is the establishment of the Muslim personal law in non-Muslim countries, or the incorporation between the Muslim personal law and the judicial system in any of those countries. This merge or this integration is needed for the Muslim community. Why? Because first of all, the Muslim personal law is part of Sharia. And we are obliged to implement Sharia in our life. And there are certain elements of Sharia that we might not be able to implement, and there are some other elements that we can implement. Among those elements that we can implement is the Muslim personal law. This is one thing. The other thing is Muslims in general. The last thing they compromise is the personal law, their personal law. You might find so many Muslims who do not practice Islam, but when it comes to implementation of Islamic personal law in their personal life, they don't compromise it. That's why, see, in many Muslim countries, they have given up so many elements of Sharia, but they have not given up the Islamic personal law. And even the Islamic personal law, they are trying to attack it from different angles, but still the essence of the Islamic personal law is applied. What do we mean by the Islamic personal law? Islamic personal law means how to get married, how to get divorced, okay, and the inheritance law, the rights of the children, the custody of the children. These are the main elements of the Muslim personal law.
Are you saying, Sheikh Haytham, that this Muslim personal law, is one of those manifestations that we spoke about earlier on?
Yes, this is an element, okay, an important element of manifesting Islam in a public sphere. Now, this Muslim personal law, okay, is a very important for Muslims to implement, because it is an integral part of Islam. Moreover, it solves so many problems for the Muslims. And let me give you an example, okay, how the implementation of the Islamic personal law will solve many problems for the Muslim community. For example, take the issue of marriage. The issue of marriage. We have certain requirements for marriage. For example, the issue of wali. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا نكاح إلا بولي وشاهدي عدل. Okay, Hadith Aisha. There is no nikah without the wali and two shahid, two witnesses, okay, trustworthy witnesses. Now, if we do not have avenues for Muslims to implement this nikah, then what is the legality, okay, of their nikah if it is carried out in a non-Islamic environment or in a church, or they just carry out the nikah in the civil registration office? There might not be a wali, there might not be Muslim witnesses. This is one thing. The other thing, there should be a mahr. The Prophet ﷺ said, التزم ولو خالد التمس ولو خاتما من حديد, which is the mahr. Yani seek even if it is a ring, a metal ring.
This amount of money or dowry given to the girl, yes, upon marriage.
Okay. Now, the Christian, okay, they don't have this dowry, and even in the civil registry office, they don't have the dowry as a condition for marriage. So what are they going to do with that? And the dowry is the right of the woman, and also it is her right if part of it is deferred when she gets divorced. So if that marriage is not conducted according to the Islamic way, then what will happen in the future? That's why it is really needed for the Islamic personal law to be implemented in anyhow in those non-Muslim countries. And you know that some people, they are against this. And I do remember that I had a sort of a debate with some Muslims about this issue. And I did ask one of the ladies, okay, it was a radio debate, and I did ask her, you said that you don't want Sharia, okay? You don't want the Muslim personal law to be incorporated within the judicial system. You said that you are married. How did you carry out your marriage? She said, I done my nikah. I said, but why didn't you go to the civil registration office and you do your marriage, civil marriage, and that would be enough? She said, I am a Muslim, I have to do nikah. I said to her, but nikah is part of Sharia. Why do you want this, okay, to be implemented, and you don't want other elements of Sharia to be implemented? Why do you want this to be implemented or recognized, and you don't want other elements of the Muslim personal law to be recognized as well?
A question may come out to say that personal law, this personal Sharia one, basically, Sheikh. Are they not? Are they not the one and the same thing? Sharia and Muslim personal law? I mean, if we're going to accept one, we're going to accept the other.
Yeah, okay. There are differences between Sharia, okay, and Muslim personal law. There are differences. It is true that Muslim personal law is part of Sharia. It is not the whole Sharia. And let us clarify, what does Sharia mean? Sharia, okay, from a linguistic point of view, the word Sharia is the path to sustenance, okay, or the path towards water. And in the Quran, شَرَعَ لَكُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ مَا وَصَّى بِهِ نُوحًا. He legislated for you, okay, from the deen what Allah Jalla wa Ala made obligatory for Nuh, etc. So this is the word shara'a. Shara'a means he legislated for you. Now, Sharia, from a technical point of view, other than the linguistic point of view, is nothing but is al-Islam. In reality, Sharia is al-Islam. And that's why, from a Western point of view, they say Sharia law. That does not really make sense. It's not an accurate expression, because you cannot say the Sharia law as if it is a different entity other than Al-Islam. No, it is the Islamic law. Sharia is Al-Islam. Now, this is the general meaning of Sharia. Now, many people refer to the Sharia as the penal code only. And this is very dangerous. And we have to tell people once we talk about Sharia, we are not talking about the penal code only. Sharia is a comprehensive term.
It's misquoted, yes.
Yes, Sharia is nothing but Al-Islam. And many even intellectuals, they are unaware of this reality. That's why, you know, recently the Archbishop in London of Canterbury, he made very good comments. And he said, Dr. Ron Williams, and he said that some elements of Sharia might be implemented in the UK for Muslims. He were talking about Muslims. And Lord Phillips, after that, the Chief Justice, he was talking about that the benefits of Sharia, or actually he was talking about the possibility of the British society benefiting from some elements of Sharia. He tried to word his lecture in a very diplomatic way in order to avoid a similar row. You know, after the comments of the Archbishop, Dr. Ron Williams, there was a row in the UK about the implementation of Sharia or the role of Sharia in the UK.
Okay, the point about Sharia law, we're going to look at it after the break. We're going to take a short break and return in a couple of minutes. Please stay with us, Living in the West.
Love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for those who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, for those who want to enter the Jannah, the paradise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for the believers. And that's why we need to learn and we need to get to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, so that we submit ourselves to the orders of Allah. And this is knowledge that we need to learn. Why we're spending more time to look into the verses and to the meanings of the verses in depth, so that we can get to learn from it what we need ourselves to be steadfast, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ponder over the meanings of the miraculous words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Living in the West. Just before the break, Sheikh, we spoke about the Sharia law. The people are scared of Sharia law in the West. The term has been used incorrectly. And you were just describing to us, explaining to us that it's not about just the penal code. And it's just not about marriage either. Do you want to expand upon this?
Yeah, so we were talking about the comprehensive meaning of Sharia. That Sharia, it encompasses everything. This is the real meaning of Sharia. That's why in some of the recent debates where some Westerners clearly saying that we don't want Sharia in these secular countries. Okay, these are our countries, and we don't want an alien law to be implemented. We are telling them, okay, first of all, Sharia, whether you like it or you don't like it, it has been, or elements of it has been implemented in those non-Muslim countries. And they say what? Say, for example, Salah is part of Sharia. And there are mosques. And some mosques in some countries, there is allowed adhan. This is part of Sharia. The permissibility or the legality of slaughtering animals according to the Islamic way. So having halal meat. And by the way, the word halal became an English word. It has been added to the English Heritage Dictionary, the word halal. And in many places you go and you will say halal food. Okay, and some people are trying to have this halal as what you call an official stamp. Okay, the word halal, yeah, like kosher, for example. Now, this is also manifested, and it has been there. Hijab. Women in most of the non-Muslim countries are wearing hijab. This is a manifestation of Sharia. So don't say that we don't want Sharia. You cannot say we don't want Sharia. And that's why we tell Muslims, if you are a Muslim, then part of Sharia will be living with you. You cannot say, I don't want Sharia. And this is very important, and unfortunately some Muslims, I watched a debate between some Muslims, and one of them is claiming that he's a Sufi Muslim, he's a liberal Muslim, and he said, I don't see any need for Sharia to be implemented. And that is really very strange, because if he knows what Sharia means, then he cannot say that statement, because if he is a Muslim, just by saying Muslim, this is part of your part of Sharia.
So the establishment of the Sharia, like you're saying, it's wider. It needs to be clarified, and the West, sometimes they take the code, the word Sharia, and use it incorrectly. And you just said now even Muslims use it incorrectly.
Yes.
But what parts of the Sharia, you said the Muslim personal law, can we expand upon this?
Okay.
What parts are we saying that is easy to be amalgamated or integrated into society?
Okay. Of course, there are many elements of Sharia, and we will be talking about it. But as we started to speak about the Muslim personal law, we said that the Muslim personal law is part of Sharia, and it is a very important part of Sharia. And Muslims can give up everything, but they cannot give up the Muslim personal law. And this is known. I remember a case when two couples came to me, and they do not practice Islam. They do not practice Islam. And even I do remember that I asked the lady, how many times a Muslim prays? She said, I think 5. To that degree. What happened is that a divorce took place while the husband was drunk, okay, and he divorced her 3 times, and he wants to go back to her. And she said, no, because you already divorced me 3 times. Now imagine, she doesn't practice Islam, he doesn't practice Islam, but this, okay, they could not compromise on this, and they wanted to come to an imam in order to tell them whether they can rejoin or not. Look to this degree. And this is what we are telling the the non-Muslim countries, that listen, Muslims will not be able, they won't be able to give up this personal law. Even the non-practicing Muslims, even the liberal Muslims, don't think that the aim to achieve elements of Sharia implemented or incorporated within the judicial system is a demand for strict Muslims or for devout Muslims. No, it is a demand that all Muslims need, but the problem is not all Muslims understand what we really need and what elements of Sharia should be implemented. So in a nutshell is that we are asking for elements of the Muslim personal law to be implemented. Now, how to implement them? Are we asking for elements of those elements to be incorporated within the judicial system, means integrated in the system, so all of them become like one system, and when Muslims are facing this situation, then this law or this act is dealing with it? Or are we asking for different bodies, different Islamic bodies, to deal with those matters, and those bodies are almost independent, but their decision or their decisions are binding?
Is this something that we've seen from other religions into the West? Have they practiced this?
Exactly.
Or is it something new? Is it new? Or is it
No. For example, it is there in some countries. Some countries, they cater for some other faiths, like they cater for the Jews. And the Jewish community, whether in the UK or in Germany or in the USA, they have a unique experience. You know that Christians, they don't have a Sharia, okay? But Jews have Sharia, okay? And in particular, the issue of marriages and divorces. The Jewish community has something called the Beit Din. Beit Din is like a court that deals with marriages and divorces. And in particular, they said that the divorce, which is known as the ghetto, the lady, the Jewish lady, cannot be divorced unless unless the Beit Din approves the ghetto. Even if she gets a civil divorce, that civil divorce is not recognized unless the Beit Din recognizes it. And by the way, the Jewish community, they don't have khula, or they don't have marriage dissolution. It is a one-way system. And that's why when they criticize Muslims and they say, well, Muslims, they don't give rights for women, okay, to get divorced. We say no. We have more rights for women to appeal, okay, to the court, to the Islamic court, to end the marriage. Then we have more right than the Jewish community. We have avenues for women, and the Jewish community, they don't have avenues. And I do remember in one of the conferences, one of the rabbis said that we don't have, they don't have a marriage dissolution. They don't have something called khula, which is the wife is applying or seeking khula from the husband, and then if the husband refuses, then the court might issue her the khula. They don't have this. And he said, we are stuck with this situation, okay, because in our religion there is no marriage dissolution. And I told him, then because we have these Islamic Sharia councils in the UK, why don't you ask the Jewish community to come to the Islamic Sharia Council so we can solve their problems and we can issue Jewish women, okay, marriage dissolution or khula. So he started to laugh about this. Of course, this means that Islam is so flexible, but because they are putting Islam under this pot and they are accusing Islam, they don't know, they don't put any focus on the flaws of other faiths and other systems.
This sometimes is clear, but a question that may be asked, Sheikh, is that now you said there are other religions who are practicing this. So why shouldn't Islam also have it? The question I would ask is it really going to be beneficial to the UK people, to the community in the UK, to have something like an Islamic court solving these problems? Or are they already solving these problems, Sheikh?
Okay. This is, yes, we have to clarify this point because some Muslims as well as non-Muslims, recently we have a discussion in Britain with some MPs about this issue, and some of them, they were opposing this issue of incorporation of the Muslim personal law, and Jack Straw was there. Then I posed this question to them. I told them, okay, imagine a situation of a woman, a Muslim woman, got married, okay, unofficially, or got married officially in another country, but she do not have documents to prove the marriage contract. And then her husband disappeared or divorced her, okay, without official documents, and he disappeared. Now, she wants to get married. Either her husband never divorced her or divorced her. She wants to get married. Okay? What is she going to do? Now, Islamically, she considers herself as a married lady. Yeah? But her husband is not there. And we have so many cases like this. There are so many women have been abandoned by their husbands for a number of years. I asked him, what is the proposed solution? He said, I don't know. I said, that's why we need elements of the Muslim personal law to be incorporated, or we need official recognition for what we do as an Islamic Sharia body or council. What we do is that this lady will apply to us as Islamic Sharia Council. Islamic Sharia Council is like an Islamic court, dealing mainly with Muslim personal law. Okay? She will apply and she will put her evidence that she was married. She doesn't have any proof for marriage, and she wants to end her marriage. Then we look at the situation, and we might decide that this marriage should be dissolved. Now, if she applies to the civil court, in the eyes of the civil court, she's unmarried.
Yes.
Because she could not prove her marriage. And moreover, even if she were able to prove that she was married, from an Islamic perspective, if the judge gave her a marriage dissolution or marriage annulment, that marriage dissolution is not recognized as an Islamic divorce. So what is the solution for this lady? The solution for this lady is to apply to an Islamic court that deals with her matter in order to end that marriage.
Okay, I think you made that quite clear. Very good argument. We're going to return to this in another episode. Jazakallah Shaykh Haytham Al-Haddad from the Muslim Research and Development Foundation. Well, that's all the time we have for you today on Living in the West. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bye.